Kayce Dutton's death may have been hinted to in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12. Throughout the duration of the episode, Luke Grimes' character was largely isolated from the primary problems of the Dutton Ranch. Kayce's affairs and Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western success were mostly connected to his own problems and his own family, Monica and Tate. However, after John Dutton passed away suddenly in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, that changed. At first, Kayce was certain that his father committed suicide, but after talking to his sister Beth, he began to reconsider his position. This establishes his multi-episode Yellowstone storyline. For a few episodes now, Kayce has been quietly working to clear his father's death case. In order to ensure that the truth about John's murder in the governor's house is revealed, he has contacted old coworkers and used his contacts in Montana in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2. With Beth, who has been mostly preoccupied with handling the situation at the ranch, this is an intriguing change. Even though it's amusing to see him genuinely getting more committed, it can also indicate Kayce's demise is imminent. In Counting Coup, Episode 12, Yellowstone Season 5, Kayce is at the center of the narrative, despite the fact that those in his close circle are basically unaware of him. After Colby's bizarre mishap in Yellowstone, he becomes briefly entangled in the relationships at home before going out and finding the man who orchestrated the hit on John. After saving Carter from a shaky course, one of Rip's most devoted cowboys passed away. In order to assist, Kayce and Tate dispose of the body at a temporary cemetery inside the boundaries of the property. Tate inquires about funeral arrangements while they are leaving the region. Regarding John's passing, his father responds by stating that the Dutton patriarch would be interred there with his mother. Tate clarifies, nevertheless, that he is inquiring about his father and the location of Kayce's last resting place. John's youngest son expresses his desire to be buried close to Tate and Monica, wherever they may be, despite the fact that he is obviously uncomfortable with the talk. Even though the talk seems random, given all of the fatalities that have occurred in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 thus far, it's hard not to interpret it as Kayce's orders if he dies during this ordeal. Sheridan could have talked about John's death and the funeral that was coming up, but when Tate inquires about it, the topic of Kayce's impending death is brought up, which is concerning enough considering how young, healthy, and strong he is. In any case, given his new mission, it is easy to envision something negative occurring to Kayce. There are other aspects in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 that can hint at his demise outside Tate and Kayce's conversation at the Dutton family ranch's makeshift graveyard. The camera moves to the tomb of Evelyn Dutton, the matriarch of the family who passed away years before the events of Yellowstone, as the father and son leave to return to the house. As flashbacks reveal, she passed away after falling from a horse. Naturally, the family was going through a terrible time, but in light of everything that has transpired in recent years, the program hasn't looked back at her life until Counting Coup. The fact that Evelyn's tomb is mentioned in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 may be a hint of another impending Dutton tragedy, even though it is a natural part of the scene when Kayce and Tate are speaking. Evelyn had a unique bond with Kayce, according to the flashbacks and what is known about her, but the character has never truly been developed in the show because she was already dead when the series began. Seeing her tomb might serve as a reminder that they could be reunited in the hereafter sooner rather than later. When it comes to family conflict, Kayce usually keeps out of the way because of his complex connection with his father. He managed to keep up some sort of relationship with his adopted brother, thus he wasn't even a part of the bitter conflict between Jamie and Beth. However, John's murder has sent him on a revenge-driven road from which he might never be able to recover. He is able to carry out this risky operation to exact revenge for his father's death because of his training, expertise, and ability. However, there are risks involved as well, particularly because he is primarily working alone. While Kayce is dealing with hired goons who were plainly wealthy and had the audacity to order a hit on the governor of Montana, Beth is dealing with Jamie, who was not really involved in the plotting of John's murder. At this point, it appears like Kayce is so dedicated to his cause that, as long as he is certain that he will be able to obtain justice for the murder of his father, he does not really care if it means giving up his life. The past few years of Yellowstone have been filled with plenty of Dutton family tragedies. Given how much it affected the fortunes of the other members of the family, Sheridan's death of the character as a result of Kevin Costner's departure before the show's conclusion is arguably still the worst loss in the series. The flashbacks in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 depict what may have happened if John had survived. It is possible that Kayce will die before Yellowstone concludes because the show never backs down from a major death and accomplished its most important one with remarkable skill. Given that he is leaving a wife and son who adore him, it provides the piece with its climactic emotional impact. Additionally, losing Kayce will intensify the impending confrontation between Jamie and Beth.